Hello, my name is Magda Ferro and I work at Universidade Católica Portuguesa in Porto, Portugal, at the international office. And first of all, I'm so sorry that we can't be meeting in person in Brazil, but I think that this is the best second option. And I'm here to share some thoughts with you about the impact of coronavirus in our daily life, and not only personal but especially in our professional life and in the internationalization processes that higher educations are leading. So at first sight one might think that, well, this is something that prevents us from moving. So it's something that makes us stay at home. So this is obviously a challenge to internationalization, in the sense that many of the internationalization processes require us to move around. So at first sight one might think, well, this is going to be tragic for internationalization of higher education institutions. But I'm more optimistic, and I truly believe that, well, with every challenge comes opportunities. And I believe that in the end, this can be a huge opportunity to develop internationalization processes within higher education institutions. Because in a sense, it made us all stop and give us some time to think, and to think creatively on how to move on with internationalization, despite the fact that we can't move. So, and I started thinking that about the challenges of internationalization that we've all been discussing a bit throughout the world in all of our conferences, and especially in Europe. And in Europe, there are several concerns regarding internationalization processes, but two of those really made me think about them in this context. And the first one is the environmental footprint that all these trips, all this traveling, all this mobility amongst all of us, staff, teachers, students, all this environmental impact, negative impact that we need to address when we are thinking about internationalization, and especially in the traditional way of internationalizing, that it's moving, someone must be moving. So the second challenge, it's about how internationalization processes of universities, although it's not meant to, they end up introducing educational bias and gaps between the students that can afford to have an international experiences and the students that cannot afford to have an international experience. So in the end, although we are offering the same educational program, some of our students will end up with a better education than others. So this made me think that the fact that right now, because we cannot move, we are all relying in this technology. So hopefully I'm reaching to people all over the world, although I'm not leaving my house. So the comfort of my house, I don't have jet lag. So I don't have any of those things, and still I hope I'm reaching you. So that made me think about how internationalization and digitalization are such important and transversal processes of higher education institutions, and despite that we never touch. So how many of you connect on a daily basis with the IT manager in order to find solutions for internationalization issues? I would bet that not many. And what I'm thinking is that this new era, because this coronavirus is disruptive, it has affected us all, and it has affected our daily routines. I would say everyone's daily routines, made me think that, okay, we will need to change. I think there will be a before and after coronavirus, not only in our personal life, but in our professional life, and mostly in our professional life. I now realize that I've been traveling for meetings that could have been Zoom meetings, so I didn't have to travel 1,000 miles to have that meeting. We could all have been comfortable in our houses, not leaving carbon footprints and not spending money to our universities, and we could all address joint topics via online platforms. So one thing I think it's going to change is the number of face-to-face meetings I'm going to have. I think that some of them won't, makes no sense, travel to Brussels and back on the same day, from Porto to Brussels, 2-hour flight, to have a 2-hour meeting or a 3-hour meeting. So I can do it right here. So this is going. So in the end, maybe we will end up saving money to our institutions without compromising the internationalization joint projects we might have. But the second one, as for the gap between students and that internationalization is bringing to the education we provide our students, I think this is time for think creatively, think out of the box, and I'm sure that many of you are now having online teaching activities. That's what happened at our university, and most universities I know are delivering online teaching activities, classes. There are other type of classes like practical classes or workshops that are a bit more difficult to deliver right now, because it's different to have an emergency and to find a short-term solution to cope with that emergency and deliver a structured program already built to be delivered online. So the media is important. But what I think it's going to happen with this coronavirus situation is that because of this, many investments are being made in infrastructure, digital infrastructure. So universities are getting more sophisticated online platforms, so that will allow us to convey our messages better. So as for me, I think I will end up this isolation, being an Instagrammer, because I realize it's the best way to reach to our students. You can send them emails, but please post online in your Instagram account that you are sending them emails. Otherwise, they won't see them. So we are all working a bit more, differently. So we are all finding, and I've been speaking to other colleagues, and we've all been trying to cope with this distance, physical distance, in different ways. But the fact is that we are still reaching to the students, and we are still able to convey the message. So as for the gap in the delivery of education, maybe if we can start being creative, and with the help of our IT departments, maybe we will be able to deliver to the students internationalized programs delivered by teachers somewhere across the ocean, or we can make students join in multicultural groups without them having to leave their houses. So just having to have Wi-Fi and a laptop or a digital phone or a smartphone or something like that. So in a sense, I believe that this will make us go for the next step, for the next phase, which is Well, we must go digital in order to achieve our internationalization goals. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be more equalitarian and less pollutant, so with less pollution. So I'm really optimistic about this. I know that coronavirus, well, has brought us some fears and has disrupted our lives. But I believe that there is a silver lining to everything. So, and maybe the silver lining for the internationalization processes and the impact, the negative impact that coronavirus had in internationalization processes based on physical mobility, is that we will learn how to internationalize without physical mobility. And that's how I see the future, the near future, because the most important step would have been to invest resources in digital infrastructures. Until then, at least in my experience, until coronavirus, there are always more urgent and more emergent and more important things for resource allocation. But now that it has become a basic need in order for higher education institutions to survive and to keep on delivering and doing what they are meant to be, that they are meant to do, now that this has been done, I'm really convinced that the next step, and that's where we are working on, more internationalization at home activities, and at the same time, more digital-based experiences. I know that there's still a long way to go because you can deliver knowledge online, but you cannot deliver an immersion experience online. However, I believe that technology will soon allow us that. Do you remember Second Life? How everyone seemed to have an avatar and had a second life? So maybe it's not that far away as one might think, this kind of solution. And so now I will end these thoughts in Portuguese for my colleagues, for my Brazilian and Portuguese speaking colleagues. I say goodbye to you and wish you all to keep safe and keep positive. And for my Portuguese speaking colleagues, espero que tenham ficado otimistas. Eu acredito que o futuro é um futuro de internacionalização de instituições de ensino superior, mas uma internacionalização diferente. Uma internacionalização com menos mobilidade física, com mais mobilidade virtual, menos poluente, mais acessível para todos e que, portanto, reduzindo o gap entre as pessoas que têm recursos ou as instituições que têm recursos para isso e as que não têm. Penso que, com o Covid, todas as instituições foram obrigadas a fazer investimentos na área tecnológica e, como tal, a partir de agora, todos nós poderemos utilizar estas plataformas de forma mais ágil e de forma mais produtiva. Por isso, dito isto, espero ver-vos ao vivo e a cores na FAUBAI no próximo ano, porque a mobilidade virtual também não é tudo e, portanto, haverá sempre momentos importantes de mobilidade física e de contacto físico e desejo-vos boa saúde, fiquem bem e até breve.